everybody. Welcome to KEXP. Welcome to Sama. I'm Derek Mazzoni. We're here at the Vancouver Folk Festival. So good to be here. I'm here with the band SGaanaGwa. I'm here with Terry Lynn Williams Davidson, Bill Henderson, and Claire Lawrence. What does SGaanaGwa mean?
SGaanaGwa is a Haida word that means supernatural or powerful.
I usually get a much longer answer. Let me tell you what this...
You're filling in beautifully.
Well, okay, so our subject matter on our album speaks about supernatural beings like Foam Woman and Landside Lady and Cedar Sister. Those are all supernatural beings in the Haida worldview. And so because we are bringing attention to those supernatural beings and the relationship between human beings and the land and sea and air, we thought it would be fitting to give our band the name SGaanaGwa.
And we just saw you do a performance with Cedar Sisters. That was quite lovely. How did the band come about?
Well, many years ago, Bill was a gracious sound engineer for a project for the Haida Gwa Singers Society, where we collected together all of the archival recordings of Haida songs. And then we recorded a box set of contemporary singers, and that was the project that Bill worked on and helped our CD sparkle. And those went out into the communities and actually a lot of institutions around the world that were interested in traditional Haida music.
Terry Lynn was performing at a fundraiser, and I was also with my band Chilliwack. We were playing the fundraiser, and Terry Lynn put out the word that she wondered if there was a guitar player who could accompany her. She didn't have anyone to accompany her at that point, and I had worked with her on those records, and I knew her interest and everything, so I put up my hand, right? And I said, but I would like to bring my friend Claire. And because Claire and I have been playing together since 1966, and we have a way of playing that is fairly unique, and we started to develop that at that time. And so, and Terry Lynn said yes, and away we went, and we did what, 3 songs?
2 songs.
Two songs at the Vogue Theatre in Vancouver.
Right on.
And then it just went from there. We just kept going.
Okay.
We've had this way of improvising that we had from that time, and we developed it. We would go on stage, and we wouldn't know. We knew we'd play 4 songs in an hour a set or so, but we wouldn't know when or in what order. We would just start to play. He doesn't play rhythm and I play solo, or I don't play rhythm and he plays solo. We play together, and we go forward like that, and it just it's a way we develop where if I spend too much attention on him, I'm going to lose my musical thought. So you're going this way, but there's an awareness of what's going alongside you.
But the beautiful thing about how they play is that it creates this incredible space for a traditional Haida song to be in the middle and the core of the song, and then we just interweave it all and create this new sound, but old sound.
But this is an interesting time for Indigenous music, Indigenous languages, where even saying Haida, for a long time it was just Indian, or, not even Indigenous, and now the general population understands that it's not just, it's Tinglet, it's Puyallup, it's all this range of different cultures. Each one has its own language, its own background, its own origin story. You're presenting Haida in this way. So I'm curious, how do you see this as part of the ongoing dialogue that's going on throughout Canada and North America amongst all these different Indigenous groups?
Well, I don't think we fit into a specific category that way. It was important that the song have a traditional Haida structure and not be an overall pop song that it has a few Haida words added in or a few Haida choruses. It was really important to start from that traditional structure and then mix in these different influences to create a new thing. There's a word that my husband has taught me about a middle ground, like yaku, in between. And I feel that's where we are, is we're in between this different territory. And I hope that it helps people understand and connect to traditional music because it has these benchmarks that people can understand and connect to in a way that they may not if it was a traditional Haida song.
There is a way where we can learn from Indigenous cultures, Indigenous peoples, how to actually live in synchronicity with the world, synchronicity with each other, that if not now, when, but also musicians such as yourselves and storytellers can help. I'm just curious, A, do you agree with me? And B, how do you see that message, which you're presenting, your culture, working its way through music, that it seems to be people are ingesting it, people are digesting it, it seems to be affecting people in different ways.
I think what we're doing and what music does is make it safe for people. So here we are putting together pieces of two different cultures, languages, and all of that, enjoying it, and creating enjoyment for other people in that context. I think that's helpful. That's all.
I agree, but music is different than enjoyment. I refer to this a lot, but sometimes when you're in a group and the music gets to you, everybody falls in love with each other in the audience.
Yeah.
You might not understand a word of Haida or anything, or what this chord progression means, but something connects.
Yeah.
And it's not like enjoyment. Enjoyment isn't the right word for it. Like
but
you have a thing.
It's
There's probably
I'm
another
fine
word
with
for
enjoyment.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's deep. It is deep, and enjoyment is deep. We think of it like so many people think. Did you have? Well, we really had a great night. That means you all got drunk.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? I mean that's not what we mean when we talk about enjoying something.
Yeah.
It's way deeper. It goes right in. It opens you up. It softens you, right? And that I think music can do that.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer, and that is the message that I like to convey, to speak about our laws of the land. Laws like interconnectedness. There's, I think, a limited ability for law to influence change on the ground. But music has that ability to affect change on the ground because it touches your heart and it isn't just touching your mind. My hope is that it will touch people's heart and will lead to a new way of thinking about how we're living our existence, because we're at the point where we have to, I don't want to sound preachy, but where we have to make a change. It's a climate crisis and we need to find the solution together. I really believe we have to find the solution together. And I like to think that the work that we do is about that, because we've somehow found a way to live together and to respect each other and yet create music together. And if we can do that, then I think anything can be done. We can find our way through this state that we're in right now.
The Haida and other Indigenous people have been here. They were the first ones here, but they were suppressed in many ways, from down to murder to just your culture. it's bubbling up right now. There's an opportunity. There's a platform, a stage for artists to step up and actually present their work. And it's interesting because I'm seeing things of the past, but it's also intriguing because that's the past, and sometimes people want to put Indigenous people in the past. Like this is what Indigenous art should look like, and there's artists that are living in the 21st century that are creating their own work. If you could speak to that and help me kind of flesh that out a little bit, because on stage you were speaking about Haida law and how that works within nature.
My father went to residential school just up the valley in Kokalitsa, and he was a beautiful singer. And he was really suppressed in his language. He didn't pass the language on to me or to any of my siblings. That was the same case with my husband. They had to find a creative outlet, and so for him it was singing and singing big band sounds. And so it was one avenue when you couldn't sing traditional songs and you couldn't potlatch. You still could be part of a brass band, is what we called it, and march through the whole village. And those bands marched through the village in the way that we would have done now today, bringing someone to be buried, for instance. All those ceremonies were adopted, but we still kept alive the protocols and the laws for how we respect each other. And so I like the fact that we're creating music that is evocative of what my father's music would have been, especially with the saxophone. My uncle played saxophone. And it's, again, creating that middle ground. I hope that it sends a message to younger people who aren't speaking Haida and who are just starting to learn again that Haida language has a place and it is living because we're creating new music together. We're not just singing traditional songs in potlatch, but we're finding a new expression for it to reach out into the broader world, to establish our presence in Canada. I think it's really important to keep doing that. You're right, we are at this very sensitive moment. It's sort of like coming out of a pandemic, you know. We're just re-emerging. It's called the resurgence of legal traditions, the resurgence of Indigenous languages, the resurgence of our knowledge for how we live together. And it's an important time. And I really am grateful to Bill and Claire for their commitment to create this new thing that can help take the next step for all of us, because we have to all take the step together.
Thank you so much. SGaanaGwa.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you very much.